What's happening, everybody? It's Tuesday night. Time to talk some football. You guys know me, Loudmouth of the South, SAJ. I'm coming to you live from Bennigan Studios tonight.
Ooh, I love that place, man.
I know, right? God, it was
The,
so
the
good.
Monte Cristo, just the fried sandwich and the powdered sugar and jelly, and it was so unhealthy but so delicious. What do they
Exactly.
had? Oh, they used to have 25-cent wings there. Oh my gosh, I
They
love
have
that
cold
place.
beer. I remember that.
They had cold beer as well.
Right.
Uh,
You might have been a little too young for that, but yeah.
no. I was of age during that time,
Okay.
mostly, but still.
Mostly.
What's up, everybody? I'm BD. Today I'm going to be coming at you from the Chachos and Chaluchi studios.
Nice.
Yes, on Parent Vital there, where they probably had more gunshots than tacos served.
Maybe. Maybe. But it is Tuesday night, and we are officially recovering from the stupid bowl. Okay. And I say that because Brian, I've got to ask you, right? I mean, we're Texans, we have a certain expectation for some football. Minus that last half of the fourth quarter, what were your thoughts of the game?
I enjoyed the entire second half of the game. Um, the first half was slow. It was
Mm-hmm.
what you would call a defensive battle. What some would call a terrible offensive performance.
Yep.
Um, I enjoy seeing those, but I kind of wish there would have been a little more action going on. I didn't. Uh, I kind of saw that coming because usually that's what happens whenever you get two really good offensive teams. It always turns into a defensive battle. So it was a little slow to start, but that second half, man, I really enjoyed that second half. And I mean, fourth quarter overtime, that was one of the most exciting finishes we've had in a Super Bowl. I mean, it's only the second Super Bowl to ever go into overtime. First one with the new rule change,
Very true.
which we can get into later.
Yes. And it's interesting that you bring that up. We definitely want to talk about that. But um, I was not, I was wholly unimpressed by the game, right? Um, and what I mean by that is, yeah, I mean it was a great defensive battle, right? And I love some defense. What I don't like though is people just not taking care of business. You know, Purdy was not taking advantage of his opportunities like he should have been. He was not really reading the defense very well. Patrick Mahomes was making some mistakes, things that you would expect for people to do better with, right? And I'm not going to do a whole do better moment this week.
Oh, I thought you were teasing us there.
No, uh, because I mean these are professional quarterbacks. Now I could understand maybe from Purdy's standpoint. I mean the guy's making $800,000 a year, and he took his team to the Super Bowl, right? And this is his what, second year at quarterback,
Second
maybe first.
second year, I mean, really
Okay,
first and a half because he first started what, week 10, week 11 last season. So
right,
it's
um,
his first full season.
right. So it would be like expecting Jordan Love to carry the team to the Super Bowl, but he did carry him to the playoffs, right? So and he got a contract extension. Brock Purdy is basically working off of his rookie contract, making hardly anything, and
Yeah.
he took the team that far. So I mean, I will say expect to see a big payday, and who knows? I very seriously doubt that came into play when he was playing the game. I don't think he threw the game just because he wasn't making the big payday necessarily. But I can guarantee you that's going to be part of the conversation. Hey man, pay me more, I'll do better. You know, so expect to see some contract renegotiations in Frisco, and expect to see that team get picked apart a little bit because they're going to have to unload, several key players, I think, in order to get this man paid, right?
It depends on kind of what route he wants to take. Does he want to go the you know Aaron Rodgers route of pay me what I think I'm owed and kind of, figure out what's left for the rest of the team? Or is he going to go the Tom Brady route of, hey, I can do just fine on, $5 million or whatever it is and spread the love around to the rest of the team, because I know that we'll be better in that case.
You're not wrong. I don't know Brock Purdy well enough to be able to make a decision, or at least an informed decision about that. Could he potentially go the Tom Brady route? Chances are, I mean, he seems to be that kind of a guy.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to settle for just like 5 million a year. I mean, I think it's probably going to be a little bit more because
Yeah,
and in all fairness, I mean, let's be honest. Brady was settling for 5 million towards the end of his career. I don't think in the prime of his career he was settling for 5 million a year. Okay.
I think he was probably settling for maybe 10 to 15 when he probably could have was worth 25 to 30.
Exactly. I mean, if
So
you look at what he's done with his career, and I am not, guys, I am not a Tom Brady fan, but let's be honest, man, the dude is talented. He was worth every penny. If Aaron Rodgers can get 20 something million a year or more and blow out his Achilles in 4 plays and still get that kind of money when he's coming back, Brady was worth more. Okay.
no, absolutely, absolutely.
In order for Rodgers to cement his legacy, even in the same conversation as Brady, he's going to have to come back and win next year. Plain and simple, right? There's no way. Otherwise, he's never going to be in the same category as Brady. I'm sorry. And that's not me being bitter. That's not me being a biased Packers fan. That's just the truth. All right. Brady's played in 2 different systems, won umpteen million Super Bowls. He didn't even have enough fingers for all the rings he has, right? That's a little bit of an exaggeration. I get that. But the point is that he is a mastermind with this game and was able to work the system to be advantageous for his legacy. The guy's untouchable, man. He's just untouchable. But anyways, we're not here to talk about Brady, and there's not going to be a whole bunch more love for him because, I mean, it's Brady. Like, who cares, right? Go back to your millions and your supermodel girlfriend and your supermodel ex-wife and your supermodel whatever, right?
Although he was on my favorite Super Bowl commercial, which was the Duncan one.
That by far was probably the best commercial. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know what's going on with Ben Affleck. Let's be honest, right? That whole Boston Southie accent thing is like all of a sudden now it's just thicker than gravy. And I get it, man. But come on, right? You haven't been in Boston in probably like 30 years, dude. Just get over it, okay? But anyways, yeah,
It probably starts when he like hangs out there for a week and it all comes back to him.
maybe. But yeah, that was a hilarious commercial. And seeing Brady there, and then Matt Damon. Oh, dude.
Be like, remember when I said I'd do anything for you? Yeah, this is anything.
This is anything. That's it, man. I'm done. Love that commercial. Okay, but Brian, I've got to ask you. You're heading into the biggest game of your team's history, right? I mean, not really necessarily history, but biggest game of the year, right? For your team. Do you think it would be important to maybe know the rules, being that there have been some rule changes to the Super Bowl?
That might help. And of course, we're talking about the 49ers, who, obviously in overtime, they won the coin toss. They elected to receive the kick, which 2 years ago would have been the correct choice because you score a touchdown, you win the game. Well, for 2 years now, the rule has been in the playoffs, both teams get a chance to get the ball no matter what happens. No matter if the team who goes first gets a field goal or a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Obviously, 49ers went down, scored the field goal. The Chiefs came back, scored the touchdown, won the game. And a lot of people, even Romo was saying in the broadcast, I wonder why they didn't get the ball. Maybe because, KC just marched down the field to tie it on a field goal. Maybe they just wanted the rest of the defense. Maybe they were tired. Well, what actually happened is the 49ers weren't aware of the rule change. That came out kind of after the game and the following
Yep.
day. A lot of the players said they weren't aware of the change. That's why they took the ball. Now, when in the post game interviews, when they asked Mahomes and the Chiefs players about the rule change, about the overtime and stuff, because kind of what led into that questioning for Mahomes was, hey, did you know that they scored that last touchdown with 6 seconds left in the overtime period? Well, that wouldn't have ended the game. It would have just rolled into a second quarter, because it was still the Chiefs' first possession. They asked him if he knew that, and he said, "Yeah, we've had rules analysts come in, explain the rules to us every playoff game, and they came in twice in the Super Bowl week to explain to us all the different rules, all the nuances, and especially the overtime rule. They were coached up correctly. Apparently, the 49ers didn't think that was needed."
Yeah, and I wish I could come up with some kind of excuse for them for doing something like that. There's no excuse, man. I mean, your team has taken, several steps to make sure that everybody understands what's going on, and you still kind of flub like that. I mean, this is not, and this was not something that I very seriously doubt the captains of the team went out there and made their own decisions. I'm pretty sure what's his name, the coach of the Niners told God, what the heck was his name? The guy who
Shanahan?
not Shanahan, but the
Oh,
guy who decided to elected to receive. Um,
I forget. It's their linebacker. I can't think of his
right,
name.
but he didn't go out there and make his own decision. Shanahan had to have told him, you win it,
No.
you receive it. Why? Like, what's the point? As you already said, you're going to get an opportunity. Why go first? Force the other team.
Why go first? Because you get to see it. It's kind of like how college does it. College teams in overtime, the winner of the coin toss, they always choose second because they know what they have to beat.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And that's 100% right. If you know that your opponent marched down the field and can only kick a field goal, right? You can kick a field goal, keep it going, or you go for the touchdown to go for the win, right? I mean, that's just, basic math. And then especially on that last play, I mean, they had the ball for what, 12 and a half, 13 minutes. They controlled the offense. The whole field was theirs. They couldn't get in the red zone, or in the end zone rather. They go for the field goal. Okay, cool. But then you give Kansas City what, 3.5 minutes? They march down the field, and the one play that they're going to run, you don't cover the receiver in the end zone. Come on, right?
yeah.
Like, that's just ridiculous. So that's why I was saying,
And they are basically running that same, at least early in the drive, that same play to Kelsey, kind of going out. I think they ran it probably 3 times.
Yeah, they were running it
like they just
on the left side of the field, and when Mahomes did that drop back, he went to the right side. Right, that was about the only difference. But it's the exact same play, and how do you not defend that? Like, it's coming. I mean, what are you putting triple coverage on Kelsey? Like, I get it, but why waste that kind of energy? You got to cover everybody on the field, man. So that's why I was saying, back to my original point, that it was there were parts of the game that were good, but overall as a whole, it was not one of the better Super Bowls, right? The halftime show was okay, right? Some people were excited because Usher, did his thing, and that's cool. I think the second part of the show was better when Alicia Keys came out, and then they had that weird roller skating segment. Like, I don't get what that was, but hey, man, it was a lot more entertaining, right? But that and the commercials by far was the best part of the Super Bowl this year, in my mind. What was not good, though? Travis Kelce yelling at Andy Reid. Brian, I got to ask you, okay? You've played organized sports, at least, in high school, junior high, things like that. How many people do you know of have ever gotten away with yelling at their coach like that?
So like that, not many or any. Um, can I say I've never yelled at my coach? No, I did a couple times
Oh,
in game, just but not. I never did. I walk up to him and grab him and scream in his
right.
face. You
And
know, um,
what usually
and, I will say this though. It looked bad on TV. Um, None of us will ever know the the energy, the adrenaline that these players are going through in the Super Bowl. Um, Kelsey's always been a fiery, passionate player. That's been him his entire career. So, he was pissed because the the player who caused the fumble like took his place in that play.
yeah,
Or I'm sorry, the player who caused the
right.
fumble was being blocked by the player that took his
Hmm.
place. So if he'd been in that play, he would have been blocking that guy, and in his mind, said, "I would that guy wouldn't have gotten away from me. He wouldn't have caused the fumble." And you could look at how the offense was struggling at the time.
Hmm.
Was it right? No, but once again, I mean, this is the Super Bowl. They're playing for everything. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna hate on the guy. I don't think the guy should have been benched. I think Andy Reid probably should have said maybe hey, cool off a series or whatever, but not for the game. Hell, if he was benched for the whole game, they would have lost it. But uh,
Potentially.
you know the way after the game, Andy Reid's cool with it after the game. I think Kelsey went up to him kind of afterwards and kind of apologized to him like after on the sideline still. Of course, the cameras didn't show that,
Right.
but I think it was a little blown out of proportion. Um, people saying he should be cut and all this stuff. That's a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But
I don't know that I would go that far, but 100% if I was Andy Reid, because that is just a level of disrespect that you just don't do. Okay. When you've got a player that's calling the shots, you get a situation like an Aaron Rodgers or something like that, right? And especially for a tight end to be calling the shots to a coach, a quarterback, I maybe could cut, it's not acceptable, but I could maybe understand. But a tight end, no, no, absolutely not, dude. And especially if you put your hands on your coach like that, and maybe I am going a little bit more to the extreme, but I'd have sent him to the locker room and been like, dude, later, go. We'll win this without you. I don't even care, right? You don't ever cross that line. You don't cross that line with a coach, plain and simple.
I think it depends on the type of relationship that the players have with the coaches as well. Would that have ever happened to Bill Parcells? Would ever happen to Belichick? No, hell no. They probably would be cut after that.
Yeah.
But Eddie Reed's a little more mild tempered kind of guy. So uh,
Uh-oh. Hey, we got lurkers, Brian.
like I said, it looked bad, but I'm not gonna say that he's the worst person in the world for what happened. None of us will ever understand the amount of fire or whatever that goes into being in the Super Bowl. So
True. And I mean, again, right? It's hard for us to put ourselves in that position. Um, we're not Andy Reid. We're not Travis Kelsey. We don't understand the emotions. We don't understand the relationship that they have. Just for me, though, for a player to go off on a coach like that, it just made me sick, dude. I was just furious, And again,
yeah,
I get it. Not my place, not my relationship. But I will say that obviously they worked it out. It's not a big deal to them. Everything is square and cool. Uh,
and at the end of the day, that's really all that matters.
right.
Uh, so
Um,
So what about change the subject now?
Yes.
Did you see? I think this is probably one of the most like big impactful parts of the game. But did you see what happened to Dre Greenlaw?
Um,
Like, did you see him get hurt?
Oddly enough, I did. Um, and I was actually just pulling up an article about it. It was in the second quarter, I believe. Uh, and he tried to run out of the field for his defensive possession when his leg got stuck in the ground and he tore his Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
Um, that was huge, right? Because Greenlaw, going back to some of his stats, right? He was second on the team with 120 tackles in the regular season and 4 passes defended, 5 tackles for a loss, 4 quarterback hits, and 1.5 sacks in 15 games. Right. He also he led Frisco with 8 tackles in the divisional round against the Packers, and another 7 versus the Lions. Um,
I mean, he was playing. He was playing great, and I mean,
yeah,
he's a monster on the field there. And the guy that replaced him, poor kid, but he got targeted 9 times, and they caught it 9
yeah,
times. Uh, One touchdown, and it was like 130 something passer rating against him. Um, and so they just came straight picked on the kid that came in for Greenlaw. So
yep.
it I think that was probably one of the biggest things to happen against San Fran that game. That biggest game changer
Oh
to
yeah.
me.
So Frisco not knowing the rules and the Greenlaw tearing his Achilles, and basically not being able to help out Bosa and what is the other linebacker? Fred Warner, right? So you got the
Warner's the one that was the captain.
right. Okay, there you go.
Yes, yes.
So you lose this key element in your defense, the same defense that had been pretty much, holding it down the whole first half. And I think that was kind of where momentum changed when they lost Greenlaw. Did it lead to ultimately the loss of the game? It sure didn't help. I can't say that losing one player is going to make a huge difference. However, as you said yourself, the replacement was targeted 9 times and did not defend 9 passes. So I
Yeah.
mean that's pretty bad. But you live and you learn. I do hope that he's able to get some of that magic mushroom tea that Aaron Rodgers had, and he'll be back in like 3 weeks or whatever, and be ready to go for the next round of or the next season rather. Speaking of magic, did you know that some magic happened this week in the Super Bowl?
Magic, you
Magic.
say?
It has to be magic, Brian. This
I'm interested to see where this one's
okay.
going.
This game was watched by 123.4 million viewers, making it one of the biggest Super Bowls ever watched, plus the biggest streaming event ever in the history of streaming events. For right now, right? That could change, but as it stands right now, 123.4 million people were watching this game. Okay? Begs the question, Brian, what do you think the percentage of fans were actually fans versus people that were watching it for Taylor Swift?
Obviously I'd be lying if I said that nobody tuned in, because she was going to be there or what. But I mean, they came out with the report last week or 2 weeks ago that she's garnered $350 million in additional revenue to the league since she's been showing up on the sidelines.
Yep.
Um, so I mean, obviously, yeah, people were watching because of her.
Oh,
I mean, I wish they were watching because of the game,
yeah.
but they weren't.
Guaranteed.
I mean, you're 123 million people. That's the last year's Super Bowl was 114. Kind of looking at some of the older years. The last time it was 114 was 2014. New England and Seattle. those were the most watched before that.
Yep.
Uh, and then they've got some other numbers and stuff like total viewership, and then out of Spanish broadcast, and I'm curious what the total worldwide numbers are, because I mean they even showed it during the game. People watching it in Brazil and just watching all over the world. These are just straight U.S. numbers.
Yep.
So I'm curious what the worldwide viewership was going to be.
Yeah, and that's something that we probably aren't going to get all of that information. But I think it's absolutely insane that this was by far one of the, if not arguably the largest streaming event ever, and it was because
Definitely was.
It was because of the 15 20 million people that tuned in because they're Swifties, right?
Which is crazy because I think we talked about it last week. She got maybe 5 minutes of airtime.
If
I think that's being a little generous, just kind of cutting to her,
if that much.
So you're gonna watch a 4.5 hour program to see an overrated singer for 5 minutes.
Yep. And the problem is 100%. That's what people did. Right. Now, I will say from personal experience, like, we had some friends over, we had, kids. Everybody knows I've got kids. They had, some of their friends over, and every time Taylor Swift would come on, they would lose their damn minds. And meanwhile, I'm trying to make food, and I'm like, oh my God, like I was so ready to just go over to somebody else's house that didn't have kids, so I didn't have to hear all that nonsense. But
should have called me, man.
But I think it's important to note that you guys know me. I don't like mixing celebrities with sports. It's always just been bad news, right? I turn on the sports to watch sports. I don't care that Jay-Z's in the stands. I don't care that J-Lo is in the stands. I don't care that Jesus is in the stands. I'm watching football for football. Okay. I might care a little bit if Jesus was in the stands because that'd be really weird. But the point is, I like watching my sports for the sports. I don't like mixing, the celebrity world and stuff like that with it. As much as I despise it, let's be honest, man, it's good advertising, right? Because it's drawing people in. And the reason I bring that part up is because the UFL is essentially kind of doing the same thing with destroying, right? He's, for those that may not know, which I very seriously doubt that anybody doesn't know who he is at this point. He's that YouTube phenom that's kicking the 16, 70-yard field goals and everything. Incredibly talented young man, incredibly talented athlete. Jury's still out to see if he can actually even kick, when he's got linebackers crashing down on him. We're going to find out about that. But that guy has 5 million subscribers to his channel. There are going to be at least, conservative estimate, 50% of those people who have not watched the UFL or XFL or USFL or any of the spring football stuff will have their eyes on the UFL just to watch this guy and see what he's going to do. So is it the best business plan on earth? Maybe not, because how many celebrities are you going to actually get to come in and, perform at that high of a level? But you've got Taylor Swift, or as I like to call her, Trailer Swift, getting involved with, the fans, which is drawing in more fans. And then you've got Destroying taking the field, which is bringing more eyes to the game. And that's ultimately what you want, right? We know for a fact that in order for the UFL to make it, right, every team's got to draw in, or the teams that have smaller fan bases are going to have to rely on the teams with the bigger fan bases to get even more fans in, right? Well, this is going to be the way to do it, man. So as much as, I worry about what's going to happen to the poor kid, there's at least one game. It's going to be the first game that all eyes are going to be on him, and we'll see what happens. But now that we're talking about the UFL, why don't we switch gears? Because the UFL rules are finally out. Everybody's been waiting for this stuff. We just talked about it last week about, the schedule and all this good stuff that's going on and everything. the UFL rules are finally out, and it looks like it's a pretty decent compromise between the XFL rules and the USFL rules. So
Yeah.
let's talk about those rules, right? They did keep there's no PATs. They kept the XFL structure.
For the
Yeah.
the 1, 2, and
Mhm.
3 running the
Right.
plays.
So you've got the 2 yard for one, the 5 yard for two, the 10 yard for three. Kickoffs, however, went to the USFL style, which is
Yep.
more like the NFL style. So that's basically opponents line up on the 20, they kick it from there. If for whatever reason it goes out of bounds, it gets spotted on the what they say the 25, I believe it is. Yeah, the 25-yard line.
So if it goes out of bounds, it gets marked 30 yards from the spot of the kickoff. So it would be the 50-yard line.
Right. And that's if it goes out before
Or
that. But
yeah, or if it goes out before that, it's where it goes
yeah.
out. So that's actually a real big penalty. I mean, that's 10 yards more than what the NFL has. So
True.
I mean, you're starting your drive on a 50-yard line.
Yeah, so it could be pretty rough. So we know about the kickoffs and the touchbacks and stuff like that. That's pretty standard. It looks
So one thing that we're talking about kicks and stuff. The punt rules are what the XFL had last year. Basically, if you punt out of bounds, you get it at the what is it, the 35-yard line?
25.
25.
Yep.
So basically, a touchback.
Mm-hmm.
If you kick it out of bounds inside that,
Right.
I think a lot of people on social media are kind of annoyed by the rule, don't like it. I do. I kind of like it. It encourages a punt return, but it also, you got to be a good punter to be able to hit the ball, within that window, and do your backspin on or whatever you need to do to kind of get the ball to hit the ground and roll back. So
yeah, or
you know,
your gunner's got to be fast so they can get down there and knock it out.
yeah. So obviously the days of the coffin corner punt are gone, especially in the UFL. But I like that it encourages a run back, or punters to have a little more skill than just kicking it directionally and getting it out of bounds.
Right. And it does look like they went with the USFL style alternate possession, rather than the onsides. Well, I mean, they've got the onsides kicks that are allowed.
Yeah.
But you've got the fourth quarter, 4th and 12 option from the 28 rather than the onsides kick.
Versus the XFL's 4th and 15,
Right.
which, I mean, 3 yards, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's just going to be easier to make. But
which I think it still comes like, because this one's a 4th and 12 from the 28-yard
mm-hmm.
line. I think the XFL was a 4th and 15 from the 25-yard line. So if you make it, you're still at or past the 40-yard line.
Right.
So
right.
The ending point doesn't really matter.
No. It's probably going to be, I mean, you've got 3 extra yards. Your completion percentages are probably going to go up a little bit higher, but probably not by much. I mean, we don't even know, it's such a finite rule that you can actually use that. It wasn't used very often, and unfortunately it was used against San Antonio, and
it was used against us. One thing I like they kept is the double forward pass.
Mm-hmm.
Which we only saw, I think, once or twice, but when we saw it, it was really cool, and that's the quarterback can throw it to receiver, running back, whatever. Right. And as long as that player is behind the line of scrimmage, even if it's a forward pass to him, he can pass it again.
Yeah.
So we actually saw a couple really cool plays off of that.
Yep. So that is definitely, hopefully, going to play out in the fans' favor when when we get the UFL season started. Rather, can't even talk here.
The overtime rules they came out, and it's going to be kind of similar. Basically the shootout style. Now they said they're running the plays from the 5-yard line. I thought both the XFL and USFL last year ran them from the 2. I know the XFL did. And I thought both leagues were running them from the two. So this seems like it's a change from both of the rules. The same, just kind of back them up a little bit.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Dirty Toro's obsessed with my background.
He is. Just like he's obsessed with the Alamo basement, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think
You know what? Those Minnesota fans,
that's true.
yeah.
That's true. Right? They don't have any trophies to look at, so they look at backgrounds.
Yeah.
One thing that was definitely a little bit controversial, and while I don't like it, I get it. I understand why, and I support it, even though I don't like it, and I think it's stupid. And that's the catch definition, right? Uh, in the XFL, we know that it was always 1 foot in, right? Just like college rules. USFL was 2 feet in. Well, they decided to go with the 2 feet in to make it more like NFL style play. And again, I get that. I support that because you should be training. I mean, this is supposed to be a training ground for players to get better, to get into or get back into the NFL. And I agree, but that takes some of the excitement away from the game, right? You're going to have a lot more plays that are blown dead because they're going to be called an incomplete catch versus you one-hand it and you're good,
Nah, you know what? It shouldn't be a catch if you only get 1 foot down. That's college rules. That rule has no business being in any kind of pro league. You got to get 2 feet down, and you see way more spectacular foot taps for players trying to get 2 feet down when they're just like, ugh, and get 1 foot. So,
maybe. I mean, I think players will put themselves out a little bit farther if it's only a 1 foot down.
I don't think so. I love that they're going 2 foot catch rule.
Well, let's just
that was the one rule of the XFL that really bugged me last year.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that bugged me, and that was not one of them. I had no problem with that whatsoever. I love that rule. I love the 1 foot rule. Okay. And I just think it just led to better gameplay, right? Because you had players, putting themselves out there more to try and get that catch versus trying to get the catch and making sure that both feet are in, the replay, pretty standard. It any play essentially can be reviewed. And I believe Blindino is going to be reviewing from the booth.
Same as last year. Yeah. You know what I wish? They obviously the coaches have one challenge, same as last year. We just talked about it. I wish they would basically make it if you win that challenge, you get another. Just I think one can be, is not enough because we saw a few times where the coach used the challenge and won it, and then there was another call later in the game that should have been challenged, but he already used it. So, and I know you got to be smart and use your challenges wisely, but I think if you win, you shouldn't be punished. Like give them a second one if you win that first one.
Yeah.
So
I wish
they would move to that.
I don't disagree with that. I think that would not necessarily that you want to reward that kind of thing, but I think it's important that they do kind of highlight those things and be like, hey, look, man, you were right, so here's your reward for it. I don't know. It's one of those things where I could go either way. It doesn't, the replays, meh.
It's not a deal breaker for me. I just wish they would, I wish they'd move to that. Give them an extra one if they would.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's what we're going to be looking forward to for this next UFL season.
Actually, real quick before, one thing that I don't know if this was a XFL rule or USFL, but I never saw it in any of the games that I watched. But defensive pass interference, it's a 15-yard penalty, max or spot of the foul. But what intentional defensive pass interference result in a spot foul if it is beyond 15 yards downfield. So
what's up, Jackie?
Hey, Jackie. So if a player just just grabs another player on purpose, then that's going to be a spot foul. Versus if he interferes while trying to make a play on the ball or something, it's just going to be a 15-yarder. So that's something I guess they're going to have to go back and review
Yeah.
those to determine whether it was, accidental or intentional. But I don't remember that being a part of the rules last
Right.
year.
Well, usually the DPIs that are called, at least in the NFL, I mean, you can tell that they're intentional, and that's why they're being called. I mean, unless they're just letting them play. We've seen a couple of games where that's happened too.
Yeah.
But pretty much,
But there's no reward for just intentionally holding or grabbing somebody because it's going to be a spot foul anyways. But you do see that in college. A player's going to get burned for a touchdown, so he just interferes because it's just going to be a 15-yard penalty anyways.
Right. Rather give up the 15
and
than
I
a
think that's
touchdown.
what they're trying to get rid of here, which is it's an interesting take.
Yeah.
So
but again, super excited for the upcoming season. Obviously, we are playing. Who the hell are we playing again?
The what are they? The lemons?
Oh, the DC.
Yeah,
Not defenders.
the lemon parades.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if we're going to see any of the DC people here, like the DC Defender or Captain Obvious, stuff like that. If you guys are going to be coming into San Antonio area, please stop by, say hey. We're definitely going to be tailgating like we always do, and it's open to everybody. So you stop on by and grab yourself some tacos, some beer, have yourself a good old time. So it looks like we're gonna be playing the Defenders. The Showboats are gonna be playing the Roughnecks, so we're definitely gonna want to make sure that we catch that game. Again, we are Texans talking football, so we are supporting all teams that are in Texas, not South Oklahoma though, because that's South Oklahoma. But they're actually going to be taking on the Birmingham Stallions, and I believe you said you were not going to be able to make that game, right?
That's correct. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not. I will be traveling back from Vegas that day. Okay. So,
well, I am going to try and be there along with a bunch of other, UFL fans from around the league. I believe because it is arguably going to be the biggest game of the season so far, that a lot of us are going to be converging on the Arlington area just to show up and show our support for the league and everything. I, of course, am going to trash talk everybody because that's what we do, right?
Oh, of course.
It'll be the only.
That's why I wish I could have gone.
Yeah, so. It'll be maybe the second or third game. No, there's probably more where I've rooted for both teams to lose. In fact, I just did it for the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, we're going to be trash talking and we're going to be having a good old time with it. Speaking of having a good time though, Brian, I believe we have something coming up this Sunday, the 18th. We
do.
Maybe we should talk about
that. So your two favorite loudmouths, Jay and myself, we're going to be joining the Pro Arena Talk podcast. I think we're going to be recording it Sunday night, but I think it actually airs on Monday. Just talking about the kickoff to all the arena football seasons, which are coming up in like a month. So,
I don't even know if it's that long. I think it's. No, I think it is. It's about a month.
Beginning to mid-March, I think. So,
let's find out. We are looking at Indoor Football League. I know we talked about it, the IFL schedule.
IFL, I think they kick off on the 16th.
Saturday, March 16th. You have your first game, which is Arizona Rattlers, which are taking on the Northern Arizona Wranglers. So you've got a little bit of a Arizona, connection over there. For those that maybe don't follow arena as closely as we do, which isn't saying much, but Arizona is basically the Texas of arena football, right? They have a bunch of different teams over there. In the IFL alone, they've got 3 different Arizona teams. And of course, you guys may remember, I know Brahma Babe would definitely remember the Arizona Rattlers. Jorge, our San Antonio Mariachi, probably remembers the Arizona Rattlers as well. Um, but yeah, there's going to be some pretty interesting football this next season. You know, we've talked about it before. San Antonio's looking pretty strong, and with some of the moves that they've made with the new coach and the new quarterback and some of the new receivers and everything, arguably, you know, probably the best indoor football team that we've seen here in San Antonio, and that's even going back to, you know, like the original San Antonio Talons and the San Antonio Force and stuff like that. I mean, this team is going to be strong. They're going to be something to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'm also interested to see what's going to happen with our friends over here in Frisco. Their team was strong last year. I mean, they made it to the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see if they brought back, you know, a lot of those people that they signed last year to make another run at it, see where they wind up. But Texas is definitely going to be well represented in arena football. You know, of course, we've got the North Texas Bulls in the NAL, which is the only Texas team in the NAL now. And then you have the CIFL, I believe it's CIFL, or was it CIL?
CIF.
Yeah, CIF. There you
CIF.
go, CIF. Where the Corpus Christi Tritons are. And
Yep.
for anybody that knows anything about Corpus Christi is, you know, pretty decent beach town, but there's not a whole lot going on there. And they have an incredible facility in the American Bank Center that is perfect for arena ball. Think of our Frost Bank Center. Maybe not on that scale of fanciness, but that same basic layout. Like, it is perfect for basketball, hockey, indoor football. Like, it is perfect for sports like that. And it's just been sitting there. So it's really nice to see that they're getting a team again and that they're going to be using it, you know, for its kind of intended purpose. And that'll be great for the sports fans down in Corpus, because they'll have something, you know, besides the Corpus Christi Hooks that they can watch as well. So that'll be fun. Now, that's if they're playing in the American Bank Center. If they're not playing in the American Bank Center and they're actually playing in that stadium that's over in Robstown, just to the west of Corpus Christi, that's going to be a little bit of a downgrade. Okay, that's going to be more like the San Antonio Rose Palace, but we'll see what happens. Okay. But then, of course, you also have the Arena Football League, which is supposed to be starting in sometime soon.
I think they're starting in like 4 or 5 months or something like that.
Where's the schedule? They've got the teams. I don't see anything about a schedule yet. So that could be, I guess we could look at tickets, 2024 tickets. Let's see, Rapid City Marshall, April 20th. So yeah, they are going to be starting a little bit later than everybody. And it looks like that's going to go until basically the end of June, until you get into the playoffs. I'm sorry, April 27th, potentially. So yeah, they're starting in late April.
We said CIF for Corpus. It's the AIF. The CIF is the league that disbanded after the NAL took all the players.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, so AIF is the league that Corpus plays in.
So, Brian, now that we've got a little bit of downtime before all the festivities start, what are you expecting to see from the NFL? Like, what kind of moves do you think the Cowboys are going to make? Where do they need improvement? What do you think is going to be the biggest key to get them to the Super Bowl next year?
Well, they already blew one, and so they're keeping McCarthy. They did hire Mike Zimmer for their defensive coordinator.
Right.
He's no Dan Quinn, but you know what? He is a pretty solid defensive coordinator. So I don't hate that hire. And it looks like they're going to be working out a deal to extend Dak. So obviously they don't want to win anytime soon. So
because Dak's not the guy, right?
Dak's not that guy.
Nope.
If you're going to keep running with the same quarterback that keeps throwing games for you, I don't know what to expect. So
yeah. So I will say that I think the Houston Texans uh, are on the right path. I think they need to make a few slight changes, primarily on defense. Maybe get Stroud a solid receiver, like a veteran to help kind of groom some of the rookies. Arguably, Packers kind of need the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But I really do think that the Texans are only one or two players away from going deep into the playoffs, maybe even being in the Super Bowl. Okay. And I know that's going to be really weird because
I don't know if I'd say if I'd go that far, but
I
I'd
would,
say
man.
they're a few players away from making a deep run.
I honestly think
We will, but we'll see Stroud. A lot of times the sophomore season is not as good as the rookie season.
true.
You got a whole year of tape, and teams can game plan a little better, but
Hmm.
we'll see. I mean, he had an amazing season. Obviously, won the offensive rookie of the year. So hopefully, man, hopefully he keeps that same play going in the next season because he was fun to
Oh
watch.
yeah. Yeah. And I feel cautiously optimistic for our Houston fans. Just because I do think that there is a very good chance that they'll make it into the playoffs, right? Maybe even go deep, depending on what the front office does as far as kind of retooling some of the defense to make them a little bit stronger, and getting, like I said, arguably a veteran to help kind of groom the rookies and get them more in postseason shape than just regular season shape. For Green Bay, obviously, we know that Love is the guy. This is not technically, I mean, technically, this year was his rookie year as a starting quarterback, but it was not his first year as a quarterback. He did, take a couple of snaps under, when Rodgers was still at the helm. There was at least one game I can think of where Rodgers got hurt and was taken out of the game to protect him, and Love took the helm and did okay. Um, Arguably, Love got better as the season went on this last year. And so I think next year we're going to see if he actually is the real deal or not. What is going to hurt him, though, is if the front office does not get some help at the receiving core. We're going to be short on running backs too. We're going to lose at least one in the postseason. Hopefully only one, but maybe two. So we're definitely going to need help there in the run game. We need a veteran presence.
I think we'll be in the same boat. You know, I I'm Pollard wasn't super impressive this year. Uh, his first year being the only guy, so
Well,
um,
and
I can definitely see him not coming back, and I wouldn't hate that. So
well, I don't know that I go that far. I think Pollard just needs help. You can't put the bulk of all that on one person's shoulders. You need a 1-2 punch, right? Green Bay's proven that the last two
yeah,
seasons. You need two strong running backs, arguably two different style of running backs. That way you can
right.
mix it up, but you do need two strong running backs. So
Which
I
is
think,
why I wish they would have not at the same price tag that he was, but I wish they would have worked out a deal with Zeke because him and Pollard as the 1-2 punch, it worked. Obviously, not for what Zeke was making, 2 seasons ago, but yeah, if they could have worked out a deal to bring him back, I would have. That would have been a real. Yeah, I would have helped Pollard, and you know, I mean, Dowdle wasn't a terrible, running back either, but he wasn't as good as physical as Zeke is on the short yardage plays. So um, Pollard needed a lot of help that he wasn't getting from the rest of the running back room.
very true. Uh, Sorry, I'm texting with a friend of mine who doesn't realize that we're doing our show. Pardon me. Um, I am so glad that Joe Barry is gone. I am hoping that Anders Carlson is working at Carl's Jr. next year. Bring back the Silver Fox, right? Bring back Mason Crosby. I don't care if that cat can't kick more than 25 yards. But
I mean, you will when you need a 35-yarder to win the game, but
I have a feeling that at 50
maybe
years
just bring him
old,
back for extra points. I mean,
I have a feeling that at 50 years old, he could still probably drop one 40, 45 yards. No
he was
problem.
dropping what 54 yarders for the Giants or something like that.
Yep. He just
So,
came in one day and boom, 54 yards. Hey, Merry Christmas. There you go.
yeah.
Right. That just goes to show you how awesome Mason Crosby is. The dude just does not miss. So hopefully we can capture lightning in a bottle again and get another kicker that can do what Mason Crosby did and then give us another 20 plus years of service like Crosby did. I don't think that's going to happen, but it is what it is. But that's kind of what I'm looking forward to this offseason with the NFL, which arguably doesn't really matter because none of this stuff is really going to transpire. Nothing's going to happen until August, maybe July. The draft will be interesting. However, we're going to be a little bit preoccupied because we've got the XFL, or the UFL season coming out. I keep wanting to say XFL. I got to tell you, Brian, I cannot stress this enough. I am absolutely rabid excited about this next season, man.
Oh, dude. You know, this time last year, after the Super Bowl, we only had to wait a week.
Yeah.
Now we got to wait like a month and a half, and it sucks. I'm like, man, I wish this was like last year. And this week we were prepping for our tailgate and what we were going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so looking forward to the season.
Here's what I'm super excited about. And you guys know, like, there is no love lost between me and the city of St. Louis. They are now in our division. They now have no excuses, right? They cannot come into our house, pull off that last minute victory, and then go sneak away and hide.
Just a lucky victory. I mean, let's call it what it was.
It's 100%
lucked out into a win.
They're fans that showed up, gave up on them, and we're leaving.
Yeah.
Okay. And who does that?
St. Louis,
right? And then they wonder why they can't keep an NFL team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Shots fired.
That and they also, I mean, at least we've got a field from this century, so
that's true. Although I will give them credit, they have put in some money into their stadium. Okay. They are going to be replacing the turf. They're going to be switching out the lighting to newer, more energy efficient LED lighting.
Are they going to dust it? They're going to get the chicken poop out of there?
I've heard Swiffer is going to send them 3 Swiffers to dust that place.
It'll be
Won't
broken
do a damn
after
thing.
One aisle.
Won't do a damn thing. That place is dirty and nasty. But now I get to go.
The chicken coop.
Yep. You and I get to go with big signs that say the chicken coop on it. Okay. Chicken poop from the chicken coop.
That's right.
That's 100% what we're going to be doing. And we are going to be mad trash talking. Don't even care. But that's because St. Louis knows what we're all about. So again, I'm super excited for it. I cannot wait. I'm even excited to see some of the USFL teams coming over and showing us what they can actually do, like the Memphis Tugboats, the Birmingham Ponies, the Michigan Kitty Cats, right? Like all these teams that are coming over. I'm looking forward to it because I can't wait to finally settle the debate about who had the best talent. Okay. And I have a feeling that the XFL is going to walk all over the USFL, minus Houston. I'm 100% positive Houston's going to be a top competitor in the USFL division. So it's going to be interesting. We're still going to beat them, right? Because we are the 2024 UFL champion, San Antonio Brahmas. But, in all reality, I'm looking forward to a great season. I'm looking forward to football not stopping. I'm looking forward to the UFL kickoff on March 30th and 31st. And I'm even looking forward to the arena ball kickoff, right? 2 weeks prior to that. Because again, this is, if you are a football fan, this is probably arguably the best time to be alive because football doesn't stop.
Oh yeah.
Takes a little break, but then it starts up again, and it
You know,
just keeps
it gives
going.
us all a chance to kind of catch our breath, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Again, super excited for it. Super excited for San Antonio Gunslingers, the Frisco Fighters, the Corpus Christi Tritons, our San Antonio Brahmas, and just total football domination from the state of Texas. So, Brian, we have hit the 1 hour mark. You got anything you want to say before we wrap this show up?
no, I'm good.
Cool. Don't forget to catch us. I believe our show, the show is going to be coming out on Monday, the 19th, where we guest on the Pro Arena Talk show. And of course, we're going to be plugging Texas football because we're Texas, man, and everything's better here. So for myself,
You know what? Oh, hold on.
oh,
We forgot to mention one thing.
what did we forget to mention?
The
Oh,
fan
yes,
event on Sunday for the Brahmas.
yes.
At the Alamo Dome.
Mm-hmm.
That you can, I mean, it's free to attend. They're gonna have some vendors there, they're gonna have some booths there, they're gonna have some stuff for the kids there. If you have not registered to go to our page, go to the Brahmas page. It's on all the Brahmas Facebook pages, Horns Forward podcast page. It's everywhere. There's like a registration form to fill out to go. So
Yep. So make sure that you fill that out, and we will see you over there. Of course, we're not going to be in any official capacity. We're just going to be loudmouth fans doing our thing. But this is going to be an exciting time. It's going to be an opportunity for us to, I believe Daryl Johnson is going to be there.
Daryl Johnson and Coach Phillips.
Yep. So, we'll get an opportunity to meet the coach from probably about 150 yards, but we'll still get an opportunity to meet him. Daryl Johnson is there. Please don't give him a hard time about the San Antonio Commanders. He had nothing to do with that. I'm sure he's just as hurt as we were because he saw the potential that was there, and it was an incredible team. But again, this is a great opportunity to get together with some of your friends and section mates and get ready for the season. Start planning out what you're going to be doing for tailgating, whose tailgate you're going to crash. Right, this is it's an excellent opportunity to come together and spend some time together as fans as we get prepared for this next season. So sign up. We'll see you guys there. Brian, you got anything else?
Nope, that was it.
See you later, brother.
Later.
Horns forward. Let's go.